The air was thick with a cloying dampness, a miasma of decay saturating the abandoned corridors of St. Joseph's Hospital. Moisture clung to every surface, beading along cracked tiles and blistered paint, as though the building itself were sweating. I stepped through the shattered entrance, glass crunching beneath my boots, the sound cutting into the silence like a blade dragged slowly across skin. It was unsettling how a place once swollen with life now felt like a sealed mausoleum, its pulse long since stopped. Fluorescent lights hung from the ceiling like dead stars, flickering weakly on failing currents. Each stutter of light cast warped shadows that stretched, recoiled, and reshaped themselves along the walls, mimicking movement where none should exist. With every step forward, the sense of intrusion deepened, as if the hospital were aware of us, watching, waiting. "Brody, you sure about this?" Sam whispered behind me. His voice sounded smaller than usual, swallowed by the vast emptiness around us. The smell of mold, rust, and stagnant water clawed at his throat. Outside, the sun still clung weakly to the horizon, but inside these walls, a cold had already settled, unnatural, deliberate, as though it had been expecting us. "Relax," I said, forcing steadiness into my voice. "Quick look. I grab a vintage scalpel, we're out." The words were rehearsed comforting lies I'd told myself before we ever arrived. Ghost hunting was a thrill, sure, but the promise of a relic, something tangible ripped from a forgotten place, carried a different pull entirely, something personal. Even so, the deeper I moved, the heavier everything felt. Not physical weight, not exactly, but pressure, presence. Despair clung to the peeling paint and cracked tiles, soaked so deeply into the structure it felt permanent, like a stain that could never be scrubbed out. "Did you hear that?" Sam murmured. I turned, catching his face flickering in broken light, pale, drawn, eyes reflecting more fear than curiosity now. "Just the wind." The lie barely cleared my lips before a faint echo rippled down the hall. Soft, hollow. It traveled along the tiled corridor like a ripple through water, unmistakably human. "Yeah," Sam muttered. "Hospitals don't cry from wind." "Let's keep moving." I pushed forward, driven by stubborn momentum more than confidence. The corridor stretched longer than it should have, bending subtly where the light failed, corners dissolving into shadow. I forced open a nearby door. The hinges screamed, a sound so sharp it felt like a warning. A patient room. The air inside was stale and heavy, antiseptic long since decayed into something sour and rotten. Against the far wall sat a rusted gurney. A sheet lay draped across it, darkened and fused to the metal. Old blood, dried, thick, cracked and flaking. "Now that's a find," I said, though my voice sounded wrong even to me, hollow and distant. Sam's hand closed around my shoulder. The contact grounded me for a moment. Then I noticed the floor. Dark streaks smeared across the tiles, layered and deliberate, leading toward the door like dragged footprints. "Brody, we need to leave," he said. His eyes never stopped moving, tracking shadows that shifted when he wasn't looking. "One more room." The words slipped out before I could stop them, compelled by something deeper than curiosity. The building groaned as we moved on, a deep, strained sound like something breathing through broken ribs. The air thickened further, pressing against my ears. Whispers bled into the silence, layered, overlapping, without direction or source. "Did you?" Sam started. "Shh!" There it was again, a sound threading through the noise, thin, fragile. A child. Sam grabbed my arm hard enough to hurt. "Don't!" The sign on the door was barely legible beneath peeling paint and grime. Pediatric ward. "It's nothing," I said, though doubt crept into every syllable. My hand closed around the handle, cold, unforgiving, final. The door opened. Toys littered the floor, stuffed animals, blocks, plastic figurines, strewn as if abandoned mid-play. Some were broken, others crushed beneath debris. Then I saw it. A porcelain doll lay on its side, its face split open as if struck by force. One glassy eye stared upward, the other missing entirely. Its fabric clothes were dark and stiff with old blood. For a heartbeat, it looked less like a toy and more like a body. "Brody!" Sam yanked me back. The shadows behind us thickened, folding inward, gathering shape. They leaned forward with eager intent. Reality bent, stretched, fractured. She stood in the corner, a little girl, hair matted to her scalp, clothes hanging in tatters, stained beyond recognition. Her eyes were hollow pits that swallowed the light around them. "Help me," she whispered. The sound slid directly into my ear, bypassing air altogether, vibrating inside my skull. "I can't," I stammered, backing away. "Don't leave." She surged forward, her mouth opened wider than any mouth should, stretching into silence itself. Sam screamed. We ran. The hallway warped as we fled, walls pressing inward, laughter pouring from everywhere at once. The exit loomed ahead, then the glass doors slammed shut with bone-rattling force. "Open!" I screamed. She appeared again, inches from my face, her skin split and stretched, fingers elongating into hooked claws. "You can't escape." I shoved Sam forward. The doors shattered as he hit them, glass exploded outward, blood followed. Sam's scream tore through the building and was swallowed whole. In that instant, I understood. The horror wasn't the ghosts or the shadows. It was how fragile we were inside a place that remembered everything. The girl laughed as darkness closed in. "You all join us." And then there was nothing. Days passed, or maybe they crawled. Sam's scream followed me everywhere, threaded through my dreams, echoing behind every thought. St. Joseph's had wrapped itself around my mind, tightening its grip each time I tried to forget. I went back. Twilight bled across the sky as the hospital rose before me, hunched and waiting. This time, I carried more than curiosity. I carried guilt, resolve, something dangerously close to obligation. The air inside welcomed me like a held breath finally released. The pediatric ward waited. The moment I stepped inside, the room thickened, pulling at me, warping time and distance. Shadows jittered along the walls. At its center stood a small bed, stained dark, impossibly intact. "Help me!" The girl appeared, cradling the doll. Its face was further cracked now, its limbs twisted as though it had tried to crawl away. "Play with me," she said. The whispers aligned, pressing forward as one. I stepped closer, unable to stop myself. The doll fractured further, its eyes yawning into black pits. When I reached for it, memories detonated. Cries, laughter, suffering layered until they became indistinguishable. "You're one of them now." "No!" The walls bled faces. The girl's form unraveled into a writhing mass of shadow. "You should have listened." The hospital lunged. I fought, screamed, begged, but the weight of countless souls dragged me toward the bed. The doll loomed, a symbol of everything broken and abandoned. "You came for the truth," the girl whispered. "Now you belong to it." The light failed. Weeks dissolved into static. The calendar on my wall fell apart, pages drifting away unnoticed. I returned every night. St. Joseph's knew me now. Its halls whispered my name. The girl waited, always smiling. "Help me!" Sam's voice echoed from the dark. I ran toward it. Laughter drowned him out. "You could have stayed," they said. "You could have joined us." The walls closed in, and as the darkness claimed me fully, I understood the truth beneath every haunting. Some places don't want visitors. They want company. Thanks for listening. If this story pulled you into the dark, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss what's waiting next. New stories are coming, each one darker than the last. Until then, don't linger where you don't belong.